Do you want to start? Yes, the stream is on. For fuck's sake, I just lost. I lost.
So you streaming to
Yeah, well,
CB's or your own channel?
I'm streaming on my own channel here now, so we are live anyway. So just remember that we're on.
Okay, y'all.
Okay, y'all, for sure. I will add a window capture. Okay, yeah. That would be Safari desktop picture. No, I don't want that. Yeah, I got it. I got you, boys. I got you covered. We got the queue. And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Even though we do not have anybody here at the moment, we're still just going to proceed on. And first of all, we've been asked by people in live chat. Oh, we got 5 watching. Here we go. Here comes people now. There's Joseph Walker. Joseph, how are you? Just give us a text back just to let you know. We've got Daddy Dragon and INET Coder here with me too. We'll start the show off. We'll let a few people gather and attend. Joseph, seems how you were there and you can give me a bit of feedback. I'm going to let INET and Daddy say hello. Guys, can you hear me? Can you say hello there?
Yes, I can hear you. And hello to everyone out there. This is Daddy Dragon.
Daddy Dragon is here. And INET, how are you coming through?
Hey, guys. Going pretty good. How am I coming through, guys? How's it going out there, YouTube land?
Scary Wife says, I sound great. Can you hear Daddy Dragon and INET Coder there live chat? Let me know, please. And we'll get the show on the road. And I will play around with the buttons as we speak. I will pop the chat out so that I have you. So you're not ignored and you feel loved. Can you feel the love? I love to spread the love. So I'm going to bring... Hi, Daddy Dragon. Is that INET? Yes, you can hear everything. Thank you, Dottie. Dottie says we can hear all the boys. All the boys is speaking, innit? I'm going to drive that. So we're not too fussed. We're just going to love.
You're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off.
Well, I have a live chat here right beside me, so I can keep an eye on you guys. I also have we have 5 or 6 in the room. We're going to get ready to do a few bits and pieces in a minute. And anybody that was here the last time, remember we had a dog of a time trying to get these technical issues sorted out.
Yeah, nothing a little hammer can't fix, you know.
Yeah, I love your methodology.
Micro adjustments.
Yeah. So I've got the one screen capture. So tonight's show is going to be a reading of the Bill of Rights, the American Bill of Rights, and then after that, I thought we'd do the Irish Constitution. And the Irish Constitution, and Daddy Dragon is going to jump in and help us go through a few bits and pieces. I'm going to bring the Bill of Rights up first on my screen. I'm going to transition over, and you can see that screen there. So I don't know, guys. Have you got my channel up there that you can see the screen as well, or you just?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, I got it.
Ah, perfect. And is it zoomed in enough for you?
Yeah, it's a little small for me, but I don't have a full screen.
Oh, well, hang on. How's that for you there? I zoomed it in a bit of lag before it kicks in. Perfect. So we got Scary Wife in the house. We got Joseph Walker. We got Day Life Reports, who's always a hang. He's a good friend. We actually met today on the March for Life in Dublin. It was a fantastic show. Of course, he's on the soapbox. Trump about to speak in Pittsburgh. We'll have to catch this later. No worries, Timothy. What do you guys think? Just want to jump off, or do you want to keep going on with this? Yeah,
no, keep going.
We could go back and catch the good doctor later on as well. 2479 Patrick has just jumped in. Good evening. Welcome, Patrick. Joseph is still here, scary wife, and the people and the masses are gathering. So, guys, Daddy, take us to the first written here. It says the Bill of Rights for the United States of America, 1791. And you were saying to me earlier on that comes after the one that you were talking about. That was 16.
Yeah, so the Bill of Rights, there's a process that was followed, if you like, and it was because of the People's Revolutions. So you had the Magna Carta of 1215. Forget about all the other years, but that was the most important document because that was a treaty between the people and the Crown. Then they used that, and it's actually mentioned in the next element that happened, which was the Bill of Rights 1688 and the Declaration of Rights of 1688. And with that was something called the Coronation Oath Act of 1688. Now, the Bill of Rights and part of the Magna Carta was then used in the American Bill of Rights and Constitution.
I get you.
So when you actually read through the Bill of Rights of 1688 in England, and it was the English Constitution.
Yeah.
So what happened was we then offered the Scots to say, do you want a claim of right? Do you want to, because they'd been harassed and harangued by a bad king as well, and they decided, yeah, we do want the claim of right. So they come in with us.
Okay.
So that's where the Scottish claim of right come from. If you hear of people mention the Scottish claim of right, that's where it come from. So the English held out, if you like, an olive branch to the Scots, even before the Acts of Union, and said, you know, you've been abused as well, come on board. And the Scots said, we'll have some of that.
Lovely. Just for you so you know, the screenshots come over to, it's just myself and yourself on the screen. You can probably see it on your monitors there. So I'll just read the preamble, as it were, for the American Bill of Rights 1791. That reads, the first 10 amendments to the Constitution make up the Bill of Rights, written by James Madison, in response to calls from several states for the greater constitutional protection for individual liberties. The Bill of Rights lists specific prohibitions on governmental power. Prohibitions. God, I've had 2 points earlier on. That's not going to help. The Virginia Declaration of Rights, written by George Mason, strongly influenced Madison. One of the many points of contention between the Federalists and Anti-Federalists was the Constitution's lack of Bill of Rights that would place specific limits on government power. Federalists argued that the Constitution did not need a Bill of Rights because the people and the states kept any powers not given to the federal government. Anti-Federalists held that a Bill of Rights was necessary to safeguard individual liberty. Reading through then again, Madison, then a member of the US House of Representatives, went through the Constitution itself, making changes where he thought most appropriate. But several representatives, led by Roger Sherman, objected that Congress had no authority to change the wording of the Constitution itself. Therefore, Madison changes were presented as a list of amendments that would follow Article 7. That's 567, yeah, very good. The House approved 17 amendments. Of these 17, the Senate approved 12. Those 12 were sent to the states for approval in August of 1789. Of those 12, 10 were quickly approved or ratified. Virginia's legislature became the last to ratify the amendments on December 15, 1791. The Bill of Rights is a list of limits on government power. For example, when the founders saw that the natural right of individuals to speak and worship freely was protected by the First Amendment's prohibitions on Congress from making laws establishing a religion or abridging freedom of speech. For example, the natural right to be free from unreasonable government intrusion in one's home was safeguarded by the Fourth Amendment's warrant requirements. Other precursors to the Bill of Rights include English documents such as the Magna Carta. As you were saying, Daddy Dragon, the Magna Carta is the be-all and end-all of all these Bills of Rights from any other republic.
Well, exactly. So the Magna Carta of 1215, and it's crucial that you only refer to that document, it was a treaty between the people and the king. And you cannot repeal a treaty, and you cannot override that treaty by any parliament because it existed prior. And the key element to the Magna Carta, if you read it, it says, this is forever and ever. Amen.
Yeah. And that's where you say, when you're bringing up any common law, that's where you say when it brings you back to common law, that stems from the Magna Carta, or is that the Magna Carta itself as well, common law?
Common law is basically your constitutional rights, or the rights that have been laid down as a foundation. What common law actually means is if there is any element of it that is unclear, common law jurisdiction means that a judge can interpret it.
Yeah.
But the judge must interpret it in the favour of your civil rights. In other words, he can't find, if the government's doing something against your civil rights, and if you actually read the Coronation Oath Act of 1688 and the Bill of Rights, they both state that it is to protect your civil rights and liberties.
I get you.
So there's a lot of people say, yeah, it's an old law, it don't matter. Well, the answer is the reason why the Bill of Rights of 1688 come about, and if there's a section of it, if I read it out to you, I've got it on my screen. So I'll go back to the Bill of Rights in itself, but it actually states on there. So first of all, there was 13 wrongs and 13 rights.
Yeah.
And what it actually stated at the top, well, let me find it again.
Go ahead.
It says the subject's rights, and thereupon the said lords spiritual and temporal and commons pursuant to their respective letters and elections, being now assembled in full and free representative of this nation, taking into their most serious consideration the best means for attaining the ends aforesaid do in the first place, and then in brackets, and this is the crucial part, as their ancestors in like case have usually done. That is a reference to the Magna Carta, Article 61, and lawful rebellion, because that's what we've done. Our ancestors used this as a way forward. And then it says, for vindicating and asserting their inalienable rights, liberties declare. And it goes on to say that this is a protection of your civil liberties and customs, not just statute law.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
So I'll just give you one example there of a crossover to the Americans, right? Now, bear in mind, in July 20th of 1988, Her Majesty the Queen made a speech to Parliament on the 300th anniversary of the Bill of Rights. President Reagan sent a delegation of people from the United States to be inside the House of Commons for the Queen to make that speech. In that speech, she stated, this is the foundation of our law, and it is still in full force. Because she said that inside Parliament, that is a rereading of the Bill of Rights. That means it is a declaration, most powerful thing in common law. But when you actually have a look at what, say, for example, I think it's the 7th article, it says subject arms, that the subjects, which are Protestants, may have arms for their defence suitable to their conditions and as allowed by law. Now, allowed by law means common law, our common law rights and customs, not policies that our government has made up, because they can't do it. And by their conditions, it means what you can afford. So if a rich man can afford, I don't know, an M16, and a poor man can afford an AK-47, that's the way it is.
Yeah. Daddy, sorry, Daddy, can you just turn down your mic just a little bit more? It's still a little bit hot for the folks.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll have to go into my settings.
You do that, you walk away. Inet, if you hadn't there to add there, what do you think?
Yeah, so the whole common law thing, it's really interesting that you guys are talking about that. And for everybody listening, I'm on that coder. I'm a buddy of Grand over here. But so what we got last night, or early this morning, I should say, is that in the United States District Court for the Northern District of New York, as of February 20th, 2018, what had happened was an indictment was actually done to, or actually submitted to this court. And it's effectively for Hillary Clinton. It's for Harry Reid. It's for all kinds of FBI folks. Anyway, I can share the link if you guys want. But anyway, so this is all based on, because I actually spent a couple hours today looking into this. This is all based on exactly what Daddy Dragon's talking about, which is the common law. They actually collect it from 50 different states, okay, different judges, different district attorneys, different attorneys, from all over. And collectively, what they did, they actually built something that, I don't remember in history that this happened, but it's a unified United States common law grand jury. And that's exactly what they've used, right, to actually bring down these indictments. Right. And now everything all the way across the board from New York District Court all the way up to the Supreme Court, they've actually filed this along with literally hundreds and hundreds of other documents. So it's very interesting that you brought me in here, Grand, and you guys started talking about this. Yeah. And that last night I was looking at this. This is not planned, guys. We're winging it.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Everything's always meticulously planned. Nothing is coincidental, as Q says. Go ahead, Ina.
Yeah, so if you want to share these links with everybody, you want to pop up specifically, if you want to read into it, but there's a docket case number and everything that if anybody's interested in looking at this. In addition to that, the organization responsible, for more or less putting all this together, some real good minds. It's called the National Liberty Alliance.org. And I'll give you a link real quick there, Grant, if you want to pop it up.
I'll do my best. You're going to throw that into Discord, or I could search for it on...
yeah, there's the link right there for you, buddy. Discord.
I got it. Okay, let me go in there and grab that. Is it in our one here? Yeah, I'm going to... You crack on. Give me 1 sec. Why? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so to what Daddy Dragon said, it's like the common law idea, right, has precedence over the existing law structure in the U.S. But it's really funny how a lot of these current judges, and really throughout the legal system, how this particular concept of filing is really being pushed back on. And so if you look, you spend any time looking at this over at the National Liberty Alliance, you can actually see a whole bunch of different links of different papers that they followed. And one to actually take note of is the one that they actually filed with the Supreme Court of the United States. Because that kind of gives you a quick summary of what it is, all of this stuff's about, and how this actually was treated, and directly over to what Daddy Dragon said, and how it directly goes to the Bill of Rights.
So I've dropped the link there in live chat, and I have it up on the screen here as well, INET. And what's this that we're looking at? The United States District Court for the Northern District. So this was what, the first, the grand jury, sovereign rights of the people against the U.S. Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan. So this is fairly recent, is it?
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely recent.
You on it, there, Daddy Dragon?
Sorry?
Have you anything to add on that? Can you see that there on the screen? I dropped the link there as well.
Well, how's my? No, I can't. Yeah, but I can't click on that link at the moment. If I do, it might go pear-shaped.
Yeah, no.
Is my sound levels okay? I've just dropped them a little bit.
Yes, should sound better. Scary's wife will let us know. She's in the production side of things. We got a little cadre of people in the live chat there, keeping us company and making sure we're staying on track.
Yeah, well, to be fair, that's exactly the way it worked. It used to work exactly the same way in England. So this system was brought from the English common law and constitutional law jurisdiction. So although the United States of America is not part of the Commonwealth, it is part of common law jurisdiction, or what we term as common law jurisdiction, which is based on the Constitution.
Yeah.
Yes, I just did one more link. So if you want to bring that, this is the one. This is one that's actually found on Google Drive. Okay, that I was digging through, and it more or less it's the same as that's over there, but this actually has the stamps on it from the court clerk, all the above, and case numbers are the same, the dates are the same, etc. So if you want to go ahead and put that link up there, I think it'll probably be better. The one that has view on the back of it.
Yeah, I'm just going to transition for the OBS while I bring up your link there so everybody can see your wonderful faces and mine. Well, you're not shown as per normal. Ina, man of international mystery. I'm just bringing up that link now. And I will throw it into...
I've put the 2 links in there as well to the legislation from the government website, just to show people that the Bill of Rights 1688 and the Coronation Oath Act 1688 are still valid.
Okay, I've dropped the Google Drive links. That's the one we're looking at now, and this is the one that's coming up now. Is INET, is it?
Yes, if you look at the date, it's actually dated February 20th. Okay, that's when it was actually stamped by the court, but technically it was filed on the 16th, which is 4 days previous, right?
Yeah, I get you. I'm just going to grab a... Daddy, did you drop a link there, did you say, into the discussion box? Where did you drop that one?
It'll be above the other 2.
Oh, right.
Below the actual thing.
Which one do you want? The 1688 or both of them?
Both of them, because they're valid. One links into the other.
Okay. You could crack on and talk about that one that INET broke up, and I'll bring up these links. If you want to take it right there, right?
District Court for the Northern District in New York. And that's been stamped February 16th, quite recent, 2018. Evidence, 449 pages and 27 video links. CD available.
Oh, that's not Wayne's laptop. Sorry for drumming off on it. That's not Wayne's laptop, is it?
I think it's better, man.
This is supposed to be the Bill of Rights and then into the Irish Constitution, and you've just dragged us back into a dark and murky place.
No, that was not intentional, because exactly what Daddy Dragon's saying, they're doing all of this under common law, right? All of this entire indictment, it lists so many people, so many different offenses, from murder to extortion,
oh my God,
to bribery to corruption. I mean, at every level that you can imagine, the worst of the worst. If you have a moment to read through this, yeah, it'll probably keep your jaw on the top of the table, if you know what I mean.
Okay. Hang on a sec here, Nina. You've just...
Do you want me to read out that first paragraph? Because it's half powerful.
Oh, this one I'm looking at here now. Yeah.
Oh, you want to read it out?
No. Go ahead. I'll make sure that people can see what they're saying, and I wanted to drop a link to it in the live chat there, so people can have a taste of it themselves as well. Yeah, go ahead, Daddy.
I'll be posting this tonight. Filed February 16th, 2018. In the above said court, with copies sent to U.S. Attorney General Jeff Sessions, Senator Chuck Grassley, and President Donald Trump. This is a case of murder, wrongful prosecution, abuse of powers, and subversion by enemies domestic against we, the people of the United States of America.
Oh, my Lord. That's powerful, isn't it? That is powerful.
Very.
I'm letting you know it gets worse, fellas.
I bet it does.
Ladies and gentlemen, yeah.
Well, we got a small Kaji. Who's still there? It says, Dottie, you still there, brother? Joseph?
I am indeed.
I was just having a quick chat there. Scary's wife is still with us. Oh, well, people can go back and look at it themselves afterwards. Let's crack on. Do you want to read that second part there? I've switched it over to live screen there now.
Do you want me to read it?
Yeah, go ahead, because we love the Cockney accent.
Thank you very much.
Go ahead.
Indictment. We the people against Hillary Clinton, Harry Mason Reid, BLM Special Agent in charge of Daniel Love for Utah and Nevada, Attorney General Loretta Lynch, FBI Director James Comey, and Oregon Governor Catherine Brown, FBI Special Agent Gregory T. Zing, Grant County Commissioner Boyd Britton, Sheriff David Ward, Judge Stephen Grasty, FBI Agent W. Joseph Starita, Magistrate Judge Peggy A. Lean, Magistrate Judge Carl Hoffman, U.S. Attorney Daniel G. Bogden, U.S. Attorney Stephen W. Meyer, U.S. Attorney Nicholas D. Dickinson, U.S. Attorney Nadia J. Ahmed, U.S. Attorney Erin M. Cregan, Chief Judge Gloria M. Navarro, Assistant U.S. Attorney General Steve Meyer, Magistrate Judge Michael R. Hogan, Chief Judge Ann L. Aiken, Magistrate Judge Patricia Sullivan, U.S. Attorney Amy E. Potter, U.S. Attorney Frank R. Pagini, Jr., Judge Anna J. Brown, Magistrate Judge John Acosta, Judge Stacey F. Beckenham, Judge Dustin Peed, U.S. Attorney Billy J. Williams, U.S. Attorney Ethan D. Knight, Assistant U.S. Attorney Jeffrey A. Barrow, Assistant U.S. Attorney Craig Gabriel, and numerous John Jane Does from multiple agencies to be identified in brackets, which include, but are not limited to, the local police, state police, BLM, FBI, NGO contractors.
That is
Well,
just...
There you go, guys. And I can tell you that as you get through this, and I believe it is 24 pages,
yeah,
you're going to see how we, the people, can actually get together, right, with the 50 states in the union, right, and collectively and legally, right, you know, exactly what Daddy Dragon was saying. You know, we can go under, you know, these Bill of Rights and actually hold these people accountable. And I believe that this, I mean, it may not happen immediately, but this right here is what's going to blow the lid off of all this stuff. And I think this is also going to be one of those things that's going to trickle out into all kinds of countries. I really do.
Just a quick technical there, Inet. Scary's wife said she can't open that last link. Is that just restricted to you, or can anybody tap in to the link just for Scary's wife, just to keep her? She wants to be able to open that link.
Okay, which is the last link?
The Google Drive. The one that's got this one here that I'm displaying on the screen.
Yeah, no, she should be able to get into it unless there's some kind of restrictions over there with regard to maybe her internet service provider's restrictive of Google Drive. I'm not sure.
Yeah, there's two links there I've left in there. Scary's wife. Have a go on both of them. I think we. Geez,
well, you know what you might need to do though.
What's that, brother?
Grant? You might need to bit of the link. Let me do that for you real quick and see if that doesn't work.
Yeah. We'll be dropping another link in there for you now, Scary, in a second. Jesus, you could have just given us this, and we could have done just a whole show just on this.
Well, hey man, no, it's just Daddy Dragon actually, you know, put the hairs up on my neck, because you know what I've been thinking about for the last 9 hours, right? You know, right? Exactly what he's talking about. Yeah. So, give me a sec. I'll put this link in there for you.
Sure thing.
You know.
Sure thing. I just want to throw this over here for the live screen so you guys can see it. Just the latest Q drops. I'm going to refresh the page just to see if he's talking while we're broadcasting, because I know Dr. Corsi and the rest of the guys are out there talking up a storm. Oh, look what he's dropped. Can you see that,
hey,
Daddy?
Man.
Hang on 2 seconds. I'll have to go back in. I'm still reading that indictment.
Drop that. Yeah, go ahead. I'll take that.
You're going to have to give me a wrench before I can give a link, dude.
Okay, hang on there, brother.
What one do you want me to look at?
Are you looking at the Q drops there?
I'm now back on your. I'm back on your page.
Yeah.
I'm back on your Discord chat. What did you want me to look at?
I'm just giving Inet. You got your wrench there. You got your wrench there, Inet?
Yeah, it just came through. Here you go.
Good, man.
All right, here's Scary Wife. Try this link.
Yeah, Daddy Dragon, I'm just looking at cute. Jeez, oh my God, the show's just going ridiculous all of a sudden.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, we didn't even talk about what we were going to be talking about. He goes, "Hey, man, you want to sit in?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, I'll sit in." And then, of course, Daddy Dragon hits it right on the head, and I'm thinking, "Wow, man, for 9 hours I've been going over this."
Oh my God. Well, where will I go? Will I go back to the? Will I go back to the indictments? Because even looking at Q's drop there, I think he's got the Vatican. That's an old photo. I remember that from history.
That's Hitler. No, they were talking about Hitler and a German lady in charge over there, and the possibility of they could be related or something like that.
My God, I'm actually in shock here. I mean, Q's just putting it out there for straight away. I have to catch myself. Yeah, isn't that fantastic, Daddy? We know what's going on. We've got a few people in live chat that are there that would probably have an understanding of what's all going. Scary Wife is definitely with us. She's got it. She's got all the links there as well. Nice one, Ina. You're the moderator there now for the live chat from here on in. And I'm in shock. Let's scroll down to the next bit. Right, we know who the bit part players are here. Let's get down to the Rico. I'm going to read this little section here.
Yeah, you might want to zoom in just a little.
Yeah. Boop. Bring it right up there. Any better there, boys? Can you see that now, yeah? Bit of lag should come through now in a second. Well, I'll read it from the start of this second one now. We, the grand jury, charge Hillary Clinton, Harry Mason Reid, BLM Special Agent in charge Daniel Love for Utah, Nevada, Attorney General. Did you read this one already, Daddy?
No, this gets good though because you're going to like this.
You're reading through it. Go on. I'll read out the players. Attorney General Loretta Lynch, FBI Director James Comey, Oregon Governor Catherine Brown, FBI Special Agent Gregory T. Bretzing, Grant County Commissioner Boyd Britton, Sheriff David Ward, Judge Stephen Crosty, FBI Agent W. Joseph Astriata, and numerous John Jane Does from multiple agencies to be identified, which include but are not limited to the local police, state police, BLM, FBI, and NGO contractors with, holy mother, RICO, murder, wrongful prosecution, abuse of powers and subversion, 18 U.S. United States Code 241's conspiracy against rights resulting in murder of Lavoy Finicum. Thereby, we seek the death.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you guys, man, this blew my mind, man, this morning.
Oh my God. And you have been sitting on this. Dotty's with me there. Dotty's is another YouTuber that jumps in with me there. Dotty, are you seeing this? This is like the grand unveiling. Sorry guys, I'll go on to the next one. 18 United States Code 1001, knowingly and willfully falsifying and concealing material fact, knowingly and willfully falsifying and concealing material fact, making material false statements, seeking 8 years imprisonment. All officers, state or federal, and the governor are part of the executive branch. The sheriff, attorney general, and judge are part of the judicial branch. 42 United States Code 1983, civil action for deprivation of rights. Grand jury seeks restitution for all victims as per the petitioner jury judgment. To fulfill the common law maxim, for every injury there must be a remedy.
Right, so let me just stop you there if you don't mind.
Jesus, please do.
if you first of all go back to the Bill of Rights of 1688, there were 13, this is important, 13 faults or evils against the people. And then there were 13 remedies. And when President Trump first signed the executive order on the 21st of the 12th, 2017, the corruption one, which this now links back to, he made a point of putting 13 names on the appendix
Jesus.
So it all starts to link in when you look at what's going on. Can I also say you just missed the second one there, which was 18 USC 242,
Yeah, sorry.
deprivation of rights under colour of law, resulting in murder of Lavoy Finicum death. Thereby, we seek the death penalty. So there's two
death
elements
penalties,
there.
two death penalty prosecutions, and that is towards all of those named there.
Exactly.
Oh my sweet Lord.
Well, yeah. So real quick, I showed you guys the other site that has all these other supporting documents, right? These documents that have been filed. When you have time, and trust me, it's going to take a long time, but when you have time, go ahead and hit that site over there, and you're going to find that this information was filed with all 50 states. It was filed with Congress. It was filed with the judiciary. Okay, so this is not brand new news to them. Okay,
Yeah.
but it is brand new news to the world. And that's why, as soon as Daddy started talking about all of this, I was like, you know what, this is the time to really actually, kind of lay it out there and say, look, this is common law, and this is exactly what the countries were found on, right?
Definitely.
Yes. How long?
So what really does please me,
Yeah.
to be fair, in that top element, there were lots of judges. In this country, in England and UK, we've got a serious problem with the judges, and they are supposed to be an independent judiciary, but they're not. They're acting in collusion with the politicians, and corrupting and subverting the constitution that they are in place to be a protector against tyranny, and instead they're part of the tyranny. So when I've seen all these judges named there, I am absolutely elated.
What do we think, just as not an aside, but what do we think when these charges are hit I'm not going to say MSM, people's consciousness? For you in England, Daddy, and for us here, the scope of what we're looking at here, it's got to have ramifications for the UK, because
well, Q's already said that. The USA is just the first part. Then you've got Asia, Europe, and the United Kingdom. He said that the USA is just the first part.
The dominoes are falling, man. I think you have a startup graphic that shows that.
Yeah.
Oh my Lord. Well, I'm glad. I tell you what. I couldn't have asked for two better people to have here and see this drop right here now. Constitutional expert and a deep. What am I going to describe you, Ina? A technical guru, genius, and you've been sitting on this all day.
Nah, man. It's like everybody wants to talk about Snowden. You know what I mean? I didn't. So.
I kind of want to step out, and I just want to step out of myself. I'm actually giddy with excitement as well.
So where does this document come from?
Okay, so evidently, it was a filing. So one's up on a Google site, a Google Drive site, right?
Mm.
And of course, the other is, let me pull that up. Hang on a second.
I mean, all I got to do essentially is just transition between Discord and this, and that's a show. I can't even touch the Constitution.
Well, exactly, man. And that's kind of what you and I have been touching on a little bit in the background. But but as it applies to the National Liberty Alliance, these are a lot of really, really good, smart people. And if you actually go there, they actually have a free civics course, free constitution course, stuff for people that are really, really good patriots that kind of want to brush up on what is what when it comes to being a patriot, right?
Yeah.
But effectively, what they're doing is they're organizing, and they're organizing nationally to more or less bring this information to the courts, and they're doing it via common law. And so, what does that mean? That means right now the current legal system is pushing back at every level. And I'll specifically tell you the exact papers filed with the Supreme Court here in just a second. But effectively, as Daddy Dragon's saying, when do we recall the last time common law was actually utilized, right? To actually go back in and take back our rights, because it is about we the people. It's not about, all of these old timers, that believe that they're running stuff. You know what I mean?
That's just incredible.
No, I agree. So it sounds like that organisation that you're talking about there is very similar to the Magna Carta Society. And there's another group that I belong to who have been going since 1942, which is called the Society for Individual Freedoms. And basically, we're all constitutionalists. And again, what they've done is presented that as a grand jury indictment. I mean, I've got two big case files here, and just to show you, again, I mean, you can probably see that on the screen. That's a judicial review book. It's an old book, one of the old ones, and it states a lot of the old laws, and that's what I presented to the High Court in this country. And we stood outside the Royal Courts of Justice with pots and pans, as they did in Iceland, and banged our pots and pans every 2 weeks on a Monday. Never got mainstream media press, but there was me with a megaphone outside and literally was telling people what was going on. And that is, what you've got to remember is it's the Constitution, the Constitution, the Constitution. And everything, all of our rights rest on the Constitution. In the United Kingdom, they have numerously said, all the judges, politicians, mainstream media, that England hasn't got a constitution. Oh, yes, we have.
Oh, yes, we have. Oh, my Lord, this is going to change everything. This is going to
Well, here's the thing. I mean, just like the organization that you're talking about, that's similar. I think, because we are, I guess, the people that's actually making people aware, maybe we need to get these organizations talking together. You know what I mean? Let's hook somebody up with somebody. And perhaps that's really the first stone to roll down the hill, to create the avalanche. And so in my mind, the way I look at it is I like being proactive and not reactive. Unfortunately, that's the way that they've run this particular government. I mean, probably longer than I've been alive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, again, just to iterate what we did on January the 13th as the Dragons, we arrested Sadiq Khan, a citizen's arrest in the Quaker Society meeting rooms in London when he was giving a speech to the Fabian Society. But the reason why this is important is because we called the police and they said that we'd, unlawfully entered the building, etc. We hadn't. We bought tickets. They didn't like any of that, but the press was outside. And what did they say? They say, you've arrested Sadiq Khan because he's a Muslim. I said, no. We've arrested Sadiq Khan and 3 other people, by the way, who they never mentioned, that was on that charge sheet that we handed to the police.
Yeah.
There was 4 names on there, not just his. He was the man giving the speech. And we said, what we're arresting him for is subverting the English Constitution, not for being a Muslim. We're not interested in that. The fact that he's a Fabian and an executive member of the Fabian Society, which is a Marxist group that seeks to subvert our Constitution, that is what we, the people, are arresting him for. And did they come to me for a statement? No.
So if you brought up credible charges, why wasn't he arrested? I mean, you had the
Well, it
rule of
was.
law.
We successfully arrested him, and then we handed the investigation side of it with evidence and pointers to the police, and the police said they deal with it. Now they're completely ignoring us, which is why when this transfers from the United States of America to the United Kingdom, you will see all these judges, all of these police officers that have been handed these documents, they will then be charged with subverting the Constitution in the same way as that indictment is listing the judges and the police officers and senior police to say that they are subverting the Constitution.
Yeah, and I think that's what this is. This is a reminder, but I also want to let everybody know that we spent time also looking into, okay, we know it was filed, right? We absolutely know that this got filed in New York, but then we actually went and looked, and it never made it on the docket.
Yeah.
It never made it on the docket. And so the letter that I just posted there over in chat and also here in Discourse, this particular letter is the letter that was actually sent. And what it is, it's a redress for the Supreme Court, more or less demanding, right, that this be heard. So technically what this is going to do, it's going to circumvent the district court. It's going to circumvent all of the other courts, right, thereafter, and it's going to go directly to the Supreme Court. Oh. And I think that's why these guys are very, very intelligent for doing that.
Exactly right. What you've just said is you've hit the nail on the head. That presentment is then given to the Attorney General. If the Attorney General, and Q keeps saying trust Sessions, yeah, the difference in this country is the Attorney General is handpicked as part of the tyrannous team. Whereas if you've got an Attorney General that isn't crooked and isn't part of the elite and isn't part of the cabal and is working for the people again, that's when they will act on those indictments. And that's what they're terrified of.
Exactly. And like I said, there is a ton of information that's supporting all of this. There's fact information out there for all the charges, especially when you start talking about the murder. And the murder was actually a setup. And they were actually calling out the snipers that were firing at him. They were calling out different police officers, right, in these charges. So the bottom line is they're just not talking off the cuff here, right? This is absolute proof, right, that these people, right, were in a conspiracy, right, to break the law of the people. Right. Yes. And so at the end of the day, what are we talking about? We're technically talking about taking back our country, and we're doing it exactly through the Bill of Rights.
Exactly that.
I'm like a giddy school child here. I'm just trying to keep up with you two because you're so deep into it. But the common law, the United States common law jury, just to hear that you mentioned that. You mentioned that earlier on there, Daddy Dragon, a couple of days ago, and you were always saying it's common law. Everything goes back through the Magna Carta. We always, the basis is common law. It's for us, we the people. And now to see exactly what they've done here, INET's just thrown up this letter. This is the letter that was submitted to for the breaching of laws, and see it state the common law. It's like they were listening to you, Daddy Dragon. On the thing.
Exactly right.
You know what I mean? It's like they were listening to you. To be fair,
that's the way it hit me, man. That's the way it hit me when I
because Q was there. Q was there, and he came in on it. You remember? I can't remember the first time I came across when we were deep research and waiting for all these Q drops to come in. I must have been about 2 months ago. That Daddy Dragon started coming in, and he was talking about the Magna Carta. I'm sure you remember that as well, INET.
Yeah.
And it kind of resonated, but you know that kind of mental block that we've all had going, yeah. I could see this, but you can't actually see it. But to see it crafted and see it worded here and now in front of your very eyes is a moment in history. Like, for me to be able to capture this and for us to have all this here, this is a moment in history that we're seeing to be submitted. Fantastic.
Absolutely,
stuff.
Brother. Absolutely.
I'll switch. Go ahead.
So I just think that this right here is just the beginning. Okay, we already know who's crooked, right? We've seen it plastered all over the place, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the media is controlled, and the strings on that right now, as we know through Q, is actually getting cut, right?
Yeah.
And they're going to go down. They're going belly up, people. I'm actually looking for the day for that to happen. So all of this fake stuff and this pre-programming crap can actually, kind of get out of our lives once and for all. So, but the bottom line, though, is when it comes right down to what common law is, right? I think that is the fight right there. The idea is that we, the people, right, in all 50 states, can collectively organize. We can collectively go through evidence with professionals in the field. Now, this wasn't a bunch of schoolboys, right, dreaming this stuff up. These are absolute professional judges. They're professional attorneys, professional people in the legal field. These people went over the evidence, right, after forming a grand jury, just like any other grand jury. They formulated all of this stuff based on factual information. So it's not a seat of the pants kind of thing, right? This is absolute factual stuff that they're actually basing the indictments on.
I mean, how do you think this is going to be reported? I know we're reporting live. When did you say this came out, Daddy? You've been sitting on this all. Sorry, Daddy. I know you've been sitting on this all day, haven't you?
Yeah, actually, come across me yesterday. But this was actually the clerk stamped it on the 20th, right? But it was technically filed on the 16th, right? But by the time the clerk's office, which is usually the clerk of the district court, by the time that they get it, it takes a little while, and they stamped it. But after they stamped it, it never made it on the docket. We actually confirmed that early this morning.
I just scrolled down a wee bit just to hear maybe Daddy Dragon might have a look at that one there. It's got a few Latin terms, but these are, I would presume, is what the articles that they're trying to bring all the different charges: writ quo warranto, mandamus to sheriff, mandamus judges, mandamus martial law, mandamus Second Amendment to the rights, mandamus terrorism, mandamus subversion, all governors mandamus, mandamus. I mean, they're charging Supreme Court, information to judges, information SWAT, show cause clerks and judges, writ mandamus to governors, information court declaration July 4, 2016. These would be the legislative arguments that they're prosecuting them under in the group.
Yeah, so exactly what it is it's the writ of mandamus is what is the way that I guess Americans say it. You guys say it different, evidently. But just a joke, man. But so yeah, the writs are more or less the argument of, right? That's kind of the best way to look at it. And so because they've actually filed all this already with the Supreme Court, what's very intelligent about it is that the previous courts, right, the district courts, all the way up, through the different circuit courts also, they can actually circumvent all of that and actually take it directly to the Supreme Court. So to me, even though that the current law system is actually trying to prevent this from happening, right? I think they did it in for themselves, because now all of those courts actually get skipped now and go direct to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, it's just, it's the highest court of the land. It's the most serious crimes, and it's the biggest players. It's just going to be one big rock and roll show, isn't it? I mean, all the big players that we've listed out there, all the charges here right in front of us, and apart from this small cadre, maybe over on the other chance that they're discussing it now, and the people, the players that have been collating all this information, the rest of the world is going to be in for a shock. And I like you guys, I have been sort of preparing for this subconsciously. I kind of half expecting it, but to just to feel. What were you like when you first read this, Inet? I mean, I'm talking about us here now, but you had this yesterday. You must have been punching the air. Inet.
Oh, yeah. Well, of course, I drink tea all day, guys, and I'm not even from England. But, so, yeah, actually, when I first got my hands, I actually spilled tea down the front of myself there. And so maybe it was the fist pumping that did it.
Oh, my God. Well, I know.
So the important part of this is where it means it didn't go onto a docket, it means they haven't pushed it any further. Yeah, but that means the people need to say to President Trump, Q, they need to say to why isn't AG Sessions dealing with this if it never reached the docket? In other words, it's not gone further through the process, and it should do.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But that's where the people need to learn to play the game, as Q says.
Keep telling us, yeah. We're just.
Well, see, it's funny you say that too, because exactly when I ran into this and I realized, wow, there's a difference between common law, of course, and the actual law system that's actually, I guess, chugging along now, sucking the pockets clean of anybody who gets hung up in it, right?
Exactly right. Let me just explain a couple of things here. In the UK, very simply, we have got, for example, speed cameras that take a photo of your car, give you 3 points, and if you then end up with 12 points, you get banned for driving. And if you carry on driving, obviously you're going to send to prison. That's all without a jury. That's unconstitutional. You can't convict anybody in this country under the constitutional law without a jury. There must always be 12 men, good men and true. And that jury has the entitlement to say no.
Daddy Dragon, hang on a sec there. Ina, are you monitoring the live chat there?
Yep, I'm looking at it.
You can see, I'm just going to answer the question there, Savage Beast. I am Savage Beast says, Torino, Ireland has a death sentence and this nonsense is all you care about your country. I'm not going to feed the trolls again, but you'll get booted if you say one more thing like that again, because this affects all of us. This will be the turning point, not only for the United States of America, for the planet. And you need to get your little head out of your ass and think about what this means for the rest of the world. Any more of your nonsense, you're out. Carry on there, boys.
Yeah, so anyway, yeah, and everybody's going to have an opinion, okay? But what we're talking about here is fact. This is not opinion. This is fact. And that's kind of, even though that, those opinions, will be accepted or rejected, it doesn't matter, right? What we're talking about, though, is we have a corrupt system of government in the judicial branch, right? And beyond, actually. That's what we have. And this is a way, as Daddy Dragon pointed out, is, more or less utilizing, right, the laws given to us, right, to actually take our countries back, exactly. And it's not about, some dumbass had, passed some law at some point that is unjust. It's not about just that thing. It's about the overall thing.
Yeah.
Well, the reality is this, and again, I explained to police officers in this country. They say to me, and this has actually happened to us twice on camera, when they've gone to arrest us, and they've said, well, it's a regulation or a statute that says you can't be here, so if you don't move, I'm going to arrest you. And what we've said, are you on your oath? And they say, yeah. And we say to them, what is your oath? Do you swear an oath to common law and to my civil rights? Yes or no? And they go, yeah. I said, okay. Well, what that means is that my civil rights and my constitutional rights are above that statute and that regulation. And you have no right as a peace officer, which is what you're supposed to be, in arresting me for a regulation or a statute that conflicts with my constitutional rights. End of. And then when they think about it and you say to them, read me your oath, tell me what your oath is. And when they say, yeah, it is the common law, they go, okay. And 9 out of 10 times they'll walk away.
Well, that brings up a real good question. It's like, okay, which one of these people getting sworn into office really even know what the heck the Constitution is? Okay? I mean, which ones know? Because it's pretty apparent that, okay, they make all these promises, get sworn in, and then what do they do? Right? They run off and kind of, stick it to the man, stick it to the woman. That's what they do. So that's a real good point as well.
Inet Coda, you just hit the nail right on the head. That you should not be, and I said this morning, whether you shouldn't be a member of parliament, a judge, a police officer, or any authoritative person especially elected, in that position unless you fully understand what the Constitution is and what the people's rights are, because you are there and you are elected to protect the Constitution and to protect the people that elected you.
100%.
And the second thing I'll say, because you've hit the bang on there, is quite simple. When we say they don't understand constitutional law, no, they don't, and they should. There is a common law maxim, which is ignorance is no defence.
Right.
They'll use that against us. You need to turn it straight back. And when they say I didn't, not good enough, mate. Yeah, you should know. It's your job to know.
That's a great point. That's a great argument to make too in front of the Supreme Court.
Well, I'll be honest with you. That's what we put. One of the documents. Another American guy I was talking to, because the process with the Queen, which is one of the things that we did, and I got arrested outside Buckingham Palace. Part of that process was that I issued service by what's known as recorded post or recorded letter to the Queen, and the Queen, not the Queen personally, but Buckingham Palace signed for it. And one of the American guys couldn't stop laughing. He said, "Are you honestly telling me DHL the Queen of England?" I said, "Yeah." Because that's the process. And once you follow the process, and that is laid down in law, you're not doing anything dishonourable.
Right.
And it creates a massive problem, and it did, because there's other things that happen with that. But just to say, one of the things that I put to the High Court was this. I said, "You are the learned judge in the High Court. Have you ever read the Declaration of Rights? Not the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Rights." And they wouldn't answer me. And I said, "It's the only document in the House of Lords that is contained in the library of the House of Lords that isn't a statute or an act of Parliament. It's a declaration. It's a contract between the people and the Crown. And it's 10 documents. It's a number of documents. But this is crucial, right? What I said to the judge, quite simply, if you haven't read that document, and I have, I am more learned than you, because that document has never been transcribed. But I've read it. So the second thing you've got to say there is, if you was presiding over a divorce case, would you make decisions without seeing the contract between the two parties? Well, the answer is you wouldn't. So,
yeah,
that's a great
Sorry,
point.
guys. Ina, will you take care of what? You just look at the live chat there and take care of it. Whoever's put that stupid remark up there with it.
Yep, I got you.
I'm going to step out for a sec. Will you two just crack on for 1 second?
yeah, no worries.
Yeah, Daddy Dragon, if you could, we've had a couple people, pop in. So could you just do a quick recap of what stuff we've been talking about? We've been going at about an hour now.
Well, the recap is that we are talking about the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and what it all started from was the Magna Carta of 1215. And there is an impeachment process as part of the Magna Carta 1215 known as Article 61, which means that we can impeach the monarch. By the way, we did impeach the monarch, and she's still impeached in 2001. It then led to, that was obviously 800 years ago. It then led, that was a treaty between the people. It wasn't a law, it was a treaty, a contract between the Crown and the people. 400 years later, they then used Article 61 of the Magna Carta and brought about the Glorious Revolution. There was a Declaration of Rights first, which was a lawful contract between the Crown, which was Prince William and Mary, who come over from Holland. Basically, they negotiated with us and wanted to be, they didn't mind ruling if we all agreed on the terms. So there was a Declaration of Rights and a Bill of Rights. In the Bill of Rights, there were 13 wrongs and 13 remedies. And if people look at the executive order on the 21st of December 2017 that President Trump signed into law, if you look at Appendix A of that document, you'll note that there were 13 billionaires and individuals, 13 that had their assets frozen and were being pursued. So the number 13 has relevance, and I believe that's why they did that, because it refers directly to the Bill of Rights. So the Bill of Rights 1688 and the Coronation Oath Act of 1688 is basically the Bill of Rights. And earlier on, I read out one of the remedies, as they call it, and one of the remedies was that an Englishman and a Protestant has the right to bear arms for self-defence. And the Queen in 1988, on the 20th of July, reread the Bill of Rights in the House of Commons. That is known as the Declaration. She made that declaration on the 300th anniversary of the Bill of Rights in 1988, and the United States of America, under the executive order of President Reagan, sent a delegation from America to hear that statement from Her Majesty the Queen. The importance of that document is that it was from the Magna Carta and the Bill of Rights that the American Constitution was born. They took most, if not all, of the elements, rewrote some elements into it as well. But basically, that is where your Constitution came from. Our Constitution is 15 documents in total, and it's bound by oath. So where your congressmen and women take an oath to serve the people, the Constitution, etc., so in effect, so do ours. But the problem is that they're not.
Rose too.
No,
yeah, unless you're okay, it's back.
We're back up, boys. Sorry, just must have been a signal jam there. 1 second. Go ahead, guys. We're still here.
Yeah, so Daddy Dragon was just recapping kind of what we were all going over there before you guys showed up.
And then obviously we went from the Bill of Rights, the Magna Carta, the fact that is shared. It's not just about the Commonwealth. It's also about any country that has what's known as common law jurisdiction, which all of our countries, even the republics, share, as opposed to what's known as Napoleonic law, which we don't want anything to do with. I believe there's one state in America that has Napoleonic law. In other words, is not under common law jurisdiction. And I can't remember what that state is.
Well, out of the 50, I do know that, for those people just joining the recap that he just went over, there's an indictment that was written up that has a lot of people's names on it, and you'll probably recognize most of them. But effectively, the Bill of Rights actually gives us the right, the absolute right, to actually do these types of things. So effectively, the common law indictment is kind of what I kind of launched on these guys. They really didn't know that I was sitting on it, but as soon as Daddy Dragon actually started talking about Bill of Rights and how they're related, that I figured, now was a good time to actually show all this. So hopefully everybody has a link to the document. If not, just let me know and I'll put it over here in the YouTube chat.
Ornette, will you do me a favor and kick Goodfella? You can see what he's pumping out there, please. I don't have that facility just here for some reason, but some nonsense. Sorry, Daddy Dragon, we got a troll in the hole, so we're just gonna get rid of that troll in the hole.
All gone.
All gone. See the way we do that, people? You get the trolls, they come in and he's spouting some sort of nonsense. Off you go. Pretty much like what the judge is going to say to Hillary. Off you go.
Actually, I don't think she's going to make it to court, though, man. I think it's going to be a military tribunal, but that's a whole different conversation, a whole different stream right there. But
not only do I agree with what you just said, I think that's the with somewhere in the region of 18,000 indictments so far, sealed indictments, grand jury indictments.
18,500, right?
Yeah, you have got a situation where, and because of the seriousness of the crimes, you need a different process for dealing with this. So that was what the last order on the 1st of March was about. And again, all it does for me is show me that President Trump, Q, and your presidential team and administration are the real deal, without any doubts whatsoever. They've come in there to clear this up, and they are going to do it.
So one of the things that I actually heard about was that back during the second election of the previous administration, it was said that the military intelligence apparatus was actually considering its own coup against it, because they've known that this has been going on for a long time. So, I mean, I don't have anything to back that up. This is just what I've heard. But just say that that's the case, and maybe it was even well before that. But if that's true, the way military plans, right, they were so meticulous in their planning that Trump came in and he was loaded up with a whole lot more facts than probably anybody's ever going to know. I mean, that's just my theory. But once these indictments start rolling out, the underlings, which is the people that didn't know that they were creating treason and sedition and those types of things, they'll be tried in regular court. But the people that absolutely, I guess, T-balled this thing off, right, they're actually going to be held for sedition and treason, and it's punishable by hanging still in the United States. So.
Just want to touch base with some of the live chatters like we normally do, guys. Drakis Toast asked me, what can we do as citizens to push this along? We're going to drop the links. I'm sure INET won't mind. We'll push the links out here, and on you guys here now, just start spreading the bombs. We'll be the first to push it out. But this amazing conversations, you've got two highly knowledgeable people right here, and I'm like you, live chat. I'm just sitting here soaking it up and listening to these two guys pushing it out. And if you ask what can we do, start pushing these links out, start spreading it, because it's happening. This is real. This is a boom, boom, boom moment, guys. Don't you think?
It is indeed. Can I just say this one thing as well? Again, I'm going to read from the English Bill of Rights, and not being disrespectful to anyone out there. There's no such thing as a British legal system. There's an English law system and a Scottish law system. There is no such thing as a British law system, right? Just to read this out to you, because there's been a lot going on in the UK with Islam, right? And I want to read this out to you because it has now been stated by the Law Society that they are going to include Sharia law and Sharia courts, for example, into English law. Let me just state this. Under the Bill of Rights of 1688, which we know is in full force, ecclesiastical courts illegal. This is the remedy, yeah? That the Commission for erecting the late Court of Commissioners for ecclesiastical causes and all other commissions and courts of like nature are illegal and pernicious. Now, could that be any clearer or any more simple to say that Sharia courts are illegal?
No, yeah, precisely.
And people must look at and courts of like nature.
Yeah.
So what we're actually saying is Sharia is unconstitutional, is illegal. It states it in our constitution. So why are these people appeasing a system and an ideology that is against our constitution? It shouldn't be allowed at all. End of.
Well, it's not that it shouldn't be allowed. It was blatantly ignored. I mean, your government and successive previous governments have willfully ignored the rule of law. And
Exactly.
But you know what was said, we were discussing this earlier today, is that what has happened, right, is that they're using our system. So they're going under the guise of religion, you know, and our countries, you know, try to, you know, be cool about, you know, whatever religion you got, you're cool, right? So go off and do your religion, that's fine. But what they've done is they've taken it and weaponized it. And because of this weaponization, right, they're able to come in and skirt through like all the laws, you know, like for instance, if you had a militia come in over your border, right, going in trying to circumvent your constitution, right? Well, you know what would happen? They would probably die of lead poisoning because they would get shot up, right? But because religion as a weaponized form of infiltration, right? This is why it's such a big challenge, because the religion thing, it's kind of like a hands-off kind of thing with regard to, I think, all of our countries, because we all have laws on the books protecting people from it. You know what I mean? And so that was a real good discussion that we had earlier, and I think that's exactly what's happening, at least in that arena. But back on topic with regard to the common law approach, I think that what's going to happen is, you're right, Sessions is to be trusted, number one. Q tells us that. And number two, they're already fully aware of this common law indictment. They're already aware of it.
Yeah.
And this has been filed in every court in the land. Okay. Now it's been filed with the DOJ, and it's been filed, you know, with the White House and to the Supreme Court. So all branches of government, right, technically, are all on notice that this thing's about to pop. And I think it's going to be the biggest shocker on this whole planet. That's what I think.
oh yeah,
No,
without
I
a doubt,
agree.
without a doubt. This has got to be the most dramatical historical event that's ever happened. Go ahead.
Just to give you an indication, I'm going to post a link there, and I'll put a thing on there to you, right? Just to give you an example of how powerful the Constitution is. Under our Constitution, the Queen is the Queen of Australia. Part of her powers is that she can dissolve any parliament under her jurisdiction. And in 1975, she enacted the Constitution because the Australian Parliament was crooked. They knew it was crooked, and the Queen issued a dissolvement order of the Parliament, and they had to have elections again. So if you think that the Constitution, you've only got to look at Australia. When it went pear-shaped, she could. Now, what I wanted to do in this country, and still want to do, and I've said, forget about marching on Parliament, because there's three elements to the Crown in this country. The Crown Estate. There's the Queen, there's Parliament, and the Judiciary. Parliament and Judiciary is now crooked. And in 1688, if you read through the documents, and especially the Declaration of Rights, the king had what they termed evil councillors, right? So we have a system of what's known as privy councillors. They advise the Queen. If the Queen is bad advised, yeah, and wrongfully advised, or is out and out crooked, you're in trouble. But the only way the people can deal with it is to march on Buckingham Palace and Windsor Castle. And the reason I say that was because in 1919, the First World War heroes who come back from World War One, of which my granddad was one of them, they marched on Buckingham Palace. And it was after that in 1920 that they started to take our guns away. Because of the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia, and they murdered the royals, the Tsars, they was worried we was going to do the same to the royal family in this country, and everybody had firearms then. It was never to do with controlling criminality with firearms, because we had a very polite society when we was all armed. And in fact, it was said on numerous occasions in Parliament that there should be a rifle behind every blade of grass, because that's the biggest protection for the people in this country. And that's why they started. And I'll tell you how they started it. They started it by removing licensing ammunition.
Yep, that's what they're doing in New York right now, man. You can only get so many rounds every month. So what they're doing is exactly what you're saying there, Daddy Dragon. It's like they're just kind of nipping away, like a little chisel, just nipping away. They just raised in Florida. I don't know if you guys heard of it. They raised the legal age of buying, a long rifle from 18 to 21 now. So that's another nibble away. California, they got restrictions on buying ammo as well. So yeah, it's exactly what it is. But I think the overall scheme of things is the power people of the planet, right? The big, super big money people that have actually more or less infected each one of our sovereignties, really, and have engaged this level, right, of control / corruption, right, that is trying to circumvent what our countries are founded on. And unfortunately, everybody's been blind to it, because guess what? The biggest weapon that was ever made, the biggest one, is the television. And unfortunately, nobody really quite gets it. Everybody's programmed. They need to actually get their head out of their backside, right, and realize. Yeah, I know. I was about to go there.
No, say it. No, you can say it. You can say put a head out of their ass.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that I mean, I don't know if we got kids bouncing on knees out there, but anyway, all I'm trying to say that that what's happened, it's not just with our country, man. It's just not with yours, right? It's the whole world, and then when you look at it, it's a real sad thing, but we can feel good about it now because we finally got somebody in an administration that's not on the take, that's not being blackmailed, right? That's not a part of some dark cabal, you know what I mean? And he's surrounding himself with military people, which he's the most safe president of all time. And so anyway, I'll stop. But that's exactly what we got to do. And the same thing with 24/7. They're trying to, red pill people, which is, of course, if you haven't heard, that's just more or less a reference to the Matrix movie, which is, to wake your asses up. Right. So, but I think Grand's doing it all the time, and so is Daddy Dragon. But how do you get through to people that, they sit on their couch so much they got roots coming out of their rear end, you know what I mean? And so if you can't take the TV away, what can you do? Well, maybe give them an alternative, right, of news, and have them eventually graduate into seeing something that is actually a little bit more true and a little bit more confirmed before it's shoved down your neck.
Yeah.
Well, there's a couple of things I'll come back to on. First of all, you've obviously mentioned the elites or the cabal or whatever you want to call them, the controlling dynasties of the world. But the main issue that we've always had, haven't always had it, it started just after 1815 in the Napoleonic Wars, where the Rothschilds took control by fraud, right? Because they lied to the London Stock Exchange as to who had won the war. Yes. They knew who had won the war. Yeah. Now, there's a common law maxim that states, and I'm going to say this so people understand where I'm coming from. There's a common law maxim: fraud undoes all. Fraud undoes all. Now we can prove, and it is written in history, that the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, etc., did gain their power, and especially the Rothschilds, from a fraud in the 1800s then that means that all of their assets can be taken because fraud undoes all.
Mm.
It's the same with Richard Branson. People don't realise that he started Virgin Records, and by the way, this is in his autobiography, with a £90,000 VAT. So he's a crook.
Say that again, Daddy. The signal dropped there for me. £90,000 what?
Richard Branson started Virgin Records with a £90,000 VAT. That's in his autobiography. He got a slap on the wrist.
Oh,
now,
right.
in the 60s, £90,000 was a lot of money.
Yeah, they knew he was going to be a player. They wanted to keep him on board, and I don't know.
Yeah. So there are. What I'm saying to you is, fraud undoes all.
Yeah.
That is a common law maxim. So my vision of what they're going to go for the central banking system, and my vision of Q, and I am sure there are some elite bankers there that are working with President Trump, will look at that maxim and say, well, if they have got 250 trillion, we need to confiscate it because it all emanated from a fraud in 1815.
Yeah, fraud. You can go right back, and we can just press the reset button essentially on everything.
Exactly that.
I was when I was.
That's another.
Go ahead, Ida.
I'm just going to say that's another area I've actually done a lot of low level on, and that is follow the money, right? You know, Q says it all the time. So when you look at it, he's actually numbered the 4 big players, right? That's part of this whole thing, dating back to what, October 31st, right? Last year. And the 4 big players, one's been taken off the list. We already know who that is, right? And that's the Saudis, the Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Once all the princes got rounded up, a lot of strings got cut. Okay.
Yeah.
Now we got 3 left. We already know who those are, right? We got, we got
it was Soros.
Yeah, Soros from the bottom. You've got Rockefellers, and then you got Rothschilds.
Yeah.
Right.
And
now the Rothschilds are the big money, right? They got over $550 trillion.
Where did you get that from, Ina? Because the last recorded that I heard 230 trillion. Where have you getting yours from?
Yeah, 550 trillion is what it is. I'll supply you with that information.
5 by 5.
But yeah, but the thing is, I also have a list of all the banks that they own, right? They own just about banks on every country on this planet, right? In addition to that, a lot of people over in America, they don't use a lot of, brain muscle to figure out that the Federal Reserve has nothing to do with our government.
No, it's private.
Right? It's all privately owned. And guess who owns it? The Rothschilds. Yeah. And also, with that said, same thing with our IRS system, our tax system. They actually use the IRS, right, more or less as their soldiers. That's what they do. And so when you think about it, it costs the United States money, right, to print money because they got to go through the Federal Reserve. So anyway, I just wanted to chime in. I heard you guys barking up that tree, and I just wanted to let you know I actually did a lot of digging on that stuff.
That's where we got you. That's where we got you. Look, guys, I think we're coming up on an hour. I suppose we're coming up an hour and a half. We could still crack on if you guys want to go in. It's just no point in archiving it. I think we should just crack on. If you guys are quite happy to crack on, I think we should crack on.
I'm good. Happy
days, yeah. I mean, this is just fascinating stuff. So where are we going next now? We've had the charges dropped. I know that I stepped outside there for 5 minutes. I need to take a quick fag break because I was just in shock. I rang a friend of mine and I had to blot out the news. I couldn't hold my tongue. And he says, "Well, look, sit on it because nobody's gonna touch anything till they're actually in the docks." What do you think is going to happen next now? When these charges have been laid, are they rounded up now? Are they brought in, or do they have to go in front of the grand jury? We're going to have the big show, or are they go in front of the military tribunal, and that's the big show there?
I guess the best analogy to have is they've already put the charge in the cannon. They've already put the ball in the cannon. That's what they've done.
Yeah.
And I think because now the government, our government, right, with Trump at the helm, they're all completely aware of this. They're completely aware of all this. And I think what needs to happen is the strings, right? There's so many strings, especially in MSM, mainstream media, right? A lot of these strings got to get cut, right? Because once they get cut, and then something like this, something as big as this hits, right? Then it can't be spun by the spin masters of today, right? Because guess what? They're no longer out there to chirp, you know, or get directions at 4 a.m. every morning, right? From some deep state actor, you know what I mean? So I believe they're going to continue cutting all these strings. They're going to continue going after, and I actually foresee that these sealed indictment numbers are going to go way up. I really do.
Easily.
They're going to go way up.
Well, so let me just clarify what you've just said there, Grant. This document that you're looking at online, the United States District Court for the Northern District of New York, the grand jury, or this is why I'm going to term it as a runaway grand jury, which is lawful in the United States of America. That is an indictment from a grand jury. That is already done. That is it. It's unsealed and being put to the Attorney General. So what they've done, if you go right to the very end of the document, you'll see, if I get down to the bottom there, this is what's known as a true bill, right? So in common law, this jury of 23 good men and true has been sworn, has seen the evidence, and has now issued what's known as a true bill. And what you'll notice on there, it was sealed and dated the 9th of February 2018, and it was signed by the grand jury foreman, and there's his signature. So they have now presented that to the Attorney General, in effect, and they've copied in, as it states, Jeff Sessions, Senator Chuck Grassley, and President Donald Trump. So no one can say they're not aware of this. It is now down to Jeff Sessions to pick it up and say, yeah, we are doing it. It is being dealt with. Does this particular, you'll have to excuse my ignorance on this, but the person resulting in the murder of Lavoy Finicum, was that in reference to the Bundy case?
Yes, it was. That's the footage that you probably seen where it looks like that they try to run a roadblock and then they got out with their hands up.
Yep.
And then he was actually murdered. Literally, he was murdered right then and there. And so, yeah, that's exactly what they're talking about.
So they have now listed, so where it goes back to there, and it talks about 649 pages of evidence, 27 video links, CD available, all attached. The grand jury and the foreman has signed that at the bottom of that. So that is exactly, this is a runaway grand jury, right? This is the law of the land. And you got prepared by grand jury foreman, United States common law, grand jury, PO box, blah, blah, blah. That is exactly what I'm talking about. That is bang on what they've done. And everybody knows, because that case was public, what you really need to do is get Fox News to say, so what are you doing about this, Mr. Trump and Mr. Sessions?
Well, I think if it stays under the radar, right, it might be smart and strategic. And I think that's kind of what's going on, right? We're constantly reminded, we have more than we know, right? We're constantly reminded of that.
Yeah.
But we also know, okay, so with these deep state actors that's controlling the media, and not just here in the U.S., guys, this is worldwide, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So the bottom line is they're controlling it, right? Okay, so now just say something like this, right? Hit the mainstream, say, you know, at 9 a.m. in the morning or, you know, whatever, 6 a.m. tomorrow evening, right? What would they do to spin it? Right? Or would they actually cover, you know, I don't know, cloning sheep? I don't know. But the bottom line is, okay, it would not get to do attention, right, that it should. Because first off, what is common law, right? And I think everybody listening right now know a whole lot more on what common law is than they ever did.
Mm.
But the point I'm getting at, they would spin it and they would cut it up and they would defame it and actually make it look like a bunch of conspiracy theorists and blah, blah, whatever they do, right? So I think that if we're patient, and I think that the military intelligence people running these operations are very, very intelligent. I think what's going to happen is once all these strings get cut, then what's going to happen? Only the real news can survive at that point. But a lot of them are going to go belly up because a lot of people are going to be going to prison.
Oh yes. Like even in that other, the New York indictment there at the very end, it says up to and includes those not yet identified NGO contractors. Like think of the NGO ships that were down off the coast of Libya, funded by George Soros, facilitating essentially trafficking.
Oh yeah, dude, and it's linked to Golf Tainer and special weapon systems. I mean, man, the list goes on. But without derailing that, what they've done is with the evidence and all these judges and all these attorneys who formed the grand jury, right, for the people, have already sifted through all the evidence as a grand jury would, right, and comparing it to the current U.S. law on the books, right, has pretty much came out with this indictment that covers several dozen people, right? And there's a whole lot more that they haven't even included in the indictment.
Yeah. Jeepers, Jiminy. It just gets bigger and bigger. And as you say, as you both say, this is just the start. I mean,
it's it, man. Yeah.
Oh, I agree entirely. And again, without pushing this I mean, this is about the Constitution, etc. But I've done many videos about the European Union and the European Union being a Nazi organisation. I've also spoke about the Nazis using two SS divisions, the 21st and the 13th Division. Anyone listening to read up on the SS 21st and 13th Divisions, and you'll understand what's going on in Europe in particular, and you'll understand what is intended by the New World Order in the United States of America. So it's the 21st Division and the 13th Division of the SS, Waffen SS. And if you read up on that, you'll understand what's going on. And Merkel has just imported a foreign legion of 1.5 million fighting men.
Right. So one other thing I want to point out as it applies is the fact that in order, right, to make common law realized, we'll call it, for lack of a better term, the Supreme Court cannot be weighed down, right? And right now it is. It's actually weighed down, okay? Meaning that there is weights on the scale, right? There's no longer a blindfold.
Exactly.
Right? There's weights on the scale. And so yesterday, I don't know if you guys heard this over there, but Justice Kennedy decided, he's going to be stepping down this summer.
Oh, really?
And so
Supreme Court, Kennedy? Is that Supreme?
Supreme Court, yeah.
Wow.
And so maybe the patience that we're seeing here from Q and team, right, and Trump and team, right, is the fact that he needs to wait, right, before he can pluck the rest of them. And I think there's going to be two more. So you got Kennedy, he's gone. I think Ginsburg's gone. And there's going to be one other, and I don't know who that is yet. But anyway, so he needs that, right, in order, right, for this thing to go kablooey. Because once this thing goes, right, then everything that's happening in Europe, everything that's happening in Ireland, everything that's happening in Australia, I mean, then everything gets re-realized. Let's call it that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's a re-realization, right, of what Constitution law is.
Exactly.
And I think if we're the poster child for it, right, then it could only be beneficial to the rest of the world.
Oh, it has to be. This is a huge game changer. This is just like the impact zone. The bomb has just landed, but the backlash, what would you say the explosion as it spreads out far and wide, it's just going to encompass the globe. I mean, we're only hypothesizing here about recouping the Rothschilds' wealth. Well, 500 trillion could be easily redistributed throughout the planet and make a huge game changer. Or all the hidden sciences, they could be installed and pushed out and given out. Like you know yourself, Einad, you've conducted experiments on all the new
Well, I can
technologies.
tell you, like, right now, everybody worries about the network hacking and all that fun stuff, right?
Mhm.
Man, they have a microchip, okay? It's probably smaller than your pinky nail, right? And just say that you have real small hands. I'm guessing you don't. But a real small pinky nail, right? Chip that big. They could put in like external drives, external devices, right? And guess what? They can actually infiltrate your system remotely through this chip. Okay. And this is the kind of technology that we have, guys. So it's no longer about, oh, well, I'm not connected to the internet. I'm not getting hacked. Well, that's not true. Right. And that's a falsehood. And I've been doing what I do for a very long time. And I'm letting you know this is true stuff.
Mhm.
So when it comes to the technology, and you guys remember the SpaceX rocket going up
Yeah.
and supposedly disappearing, right?
Yeah.
Well, what have you heard about it? Oh,
Nothing.
that's right. Crickets. You've heard crickets. That's about it. But the bottom line, though, is how many hours after that did you guys see a beam of light coming out, right, of the sky
Yes.
and explosions occurring? Okay. So think about that for just a minute, right? That was an absolutely top secret satellite that actually got sent up for purposes that are currently being used. So at the end of the day, right, they know everything that's going on, okay? They know everything that's going on. And it's kind of funny because Q keeps giving us the hints. It's like these people are just so stupid because they actually really believe that we don't know and we can't hear what they're saying.
Yeah.
You know, they really believe that. They do. They believe that.
Amazing times to be alive.
Yes, sure it is.
Well, I think with that, guys, I think I am prepared just to sit it down, and I think we'll revisit this again. I think tomorrow we might just get some rest there tonight. I'm not calling an end to the show. I'm just offering it out there. I'm just thinking of the people that might want to review the stream later on. We're coming up to about an hour and 3/4. But we could essentially just keep going for hours and hours, and there's just so much ground to cover, isn't it?
I'm going to be going to bed shortly, but
Yeah.
I'm going to jump on to just have a quick look on the other channel as well.
Yeah, same. I think we might do that. Is that okay with you, Aina?
Oh, yeah, it's fun, man.
Yeah, bro. And I have to say, I have to thank Daddy Dragon for attending, and Inet Coder for joining me here on the show this evening. And when I said it was going to be good, even I didn't realize this was going to happen at the time. This is just phenomenal. So ideally, I'm only just shutting it down because an hour and a half, and that's going to get processed and pushed out tonight. And I think we captured, and I think we informed, because Laurie and those in the live chat have been monitoring the watch. They've had your constitutional experiences that you've had, Daddy Dragon. We've also had key insights now from INET, and INET's dropped us a huge bomb tonight and gone through in great detail. So I'd like to thank both of you for joining me tonight. What a fantastic show.
Pleasure.
And I'd like to thank all you guys that attended, that turned up on the live chat. Thank you for your input. We've got the links there now to hand. We'll push it all out, start pushing it on the platforms. It's going to take a while for this to come out, but what a moment in history! And thanks so much for joining us here tonight. So with that,
real quick,
go ahead.
Real quick. I just want to say, I'm sure if you guys are anything like me, it's a lot of people in your world, right, that would otherwise not even believe any of this stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay that they don't, but I'm just saying, just drop it on them. Right? Just drop it on them, right? And say, look, you can expect this, and this, okay? And then what's going to happen is, right, they're going to look at you like, you got a tinfoil hat on or something.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then what's going to happen is when this stuff does break, right, guess who's going to be contacting you? Those people.
Yeah.
Those people will be contacting you because they're going to be, hey, man, you predicted this, man, So anyway, just because it's inside information, technically, right? And when it does drop, I think you can use it for a positive thing. So
Yes.
I'll just conclude with that.
I thank you very much for that, Daddy, and I will finish up. As we said, this is the first of a long, a lot of stuff that's about to break, and because we've got the inside line, we're going to start breaking this stuff now because we're aware, us three here, possibly some of you in live chat, that there's far more nefarious and I don't know how to, far more nefarious and horrible war crimes to be revealed that will come in time, and to prepare those around you, because it's going to be shocked. People are going to turn away and not even believe what's going to happen, even though the evidence and everything's there is going to be right in front of you. Do not be afraid of it, and be prepared to help those around you to understand what exactly is what's been going on for the last 50 to 60 years. And with that, I will end the stream, and I'll just say one more time, thank you so much to Daddy Dragon, thank you so much to INET for joining us here, to INET Coder. Look them up, look for their handles on both Twitter, Gab, and all media platforms, and be prepared. We will be coming out with some new shows, new different stuff, and Gran Torino will probably move on to other things, but that's for the future, for things to come. Thank you very much for joining me tonight, guys.
No worries.
No worries, man.